Watch me ride.
Hey everybody, so commissions. I need to talk to you about this. As you may know, may not know, because 6 in 10 people who watch my videos are not subscribers. My name is Spicy110, I'm a motor vlogger from the UK, and I'm also a metal artist that turns motorcycle parts into clocks. I am now going to be doing commissions, i.e. you send me your sprocket or your disc from your bike, and I'll turn it into a clock for you. Obviously this is going to be really cool if you've done something like you've done some special trip somewhere, and those are the discs that were on the bike at the time. It's something you can keep forever. It's always got that memory, that item is connected to that story. Or if it's just, you know, your first bike or whatever, if it's just your bike and you're like, I'd like to have a clock made for it because I like this, and you know, it's personalised to you, that's what I'm doing. I've made over 60 clocks as it is myself from recycled parts, and I now feel like I'm in a good enough position to know what I'm doing to be able to say yes, what I can and cannot do, which is what I'll get onto, because in this I'm going to have to explain the whole process, structure and everything of how I'm doing this. Okay, so number one thing, I can only offer this to the UK, I'm afraid. That is simply because I have a PO box, and you can't send anything to a PO box unless it goes through Royal Mail, and you can't send anything through Royal Mail unless it's in the UK. This also means that if you're in the UK, you must send it through Royal Mail. There is a maximum weight limit of 2 kilos on Royal Mail, so you must keep it underneath that. Now, thankfully, one of these is normally about 700 or 800 grams, maybe less. One of these is normally about 1.2 kilos, so if you package it up, you won't have any problems. And if it ends up being over that weight on return, it's not a problem because I can obviously use your address and send it through parcelforce. You can't send these to me through parcelforce, it must be through Royal Mail. So the postage and costings I'll get to later in the video, because I've got to get this in order so it all makes sense to you. Right, so the types of clocks that I'll be making. I'm going to be making the standard sprocket and disc type clocks. You know, that's going to have an aluminium back face, which I hand brush and then lacquer so it's protected. And then I fit a clock mechanism to it and put hands on it of normally red or black or something that contrasts with what I'm doing with the item. Can't use spanners, I can't use those sorts of things. I can't do anything outside the realms of what you've already seen me do, and if you'd like to see what I've already done, go to my Instagram, link in the description, the Spicy110 Metalworks one, and you can look at every clock I've ever made. Now, some people might want me to make one of the clocks where I take, you know, the front sprocket and the rear sprocket with the chain, weld it together and turn it into a clock like I did for Chase on 2 Wheels. That is something I can do, but we're going to have to discuss that on a case-by-case basis, and there is a good chance that I won't be able to do it, or it's going to end up costing a lot more. Another thing, do not send me your parts with a note in the Jiffy bag or something saying, hey, can you make this clock for me? It's got to be, I've got to get an email through an email address I'm going to give you, which is the start of the waiting list, and I'm going to deal with people on that because I need to discuss with each person what they want done and discuss whether I can and can't do that for a price they're okay with before they send it. So I don't want people just sending stuff to me. If you do that, it's just going to get put into the normal stuff because I don't want any commission stuff being sent directly to me unless it's been previously discussed. My big point about that. Okay, so say I'm you and I have my disc here. How does this work? Well, what you do is you take a photograph of the front and you take a photograph of the back, and then you put that in an email and you send it to spicycommissions@yahoo.com. There is a link in the description with that, so you can get it there. And you basically then also go and have a look at my Instagram if you can. You don't have to be a member of Instagram, you can do this on a desktop. Just go and look at my pictures and say, hey, I like the look of that one, something like that would be very helpful. Some people might just be like, hey Spicy, I love what you do, here's my disc, can you turn that into something for me? I can either do that full reins and I can just do whatever I want to it, or I can say, well, how much of it do you want, how much do you want it to look original still? Like for instance, I might have taken this paint off, but if you want that paint to still be there, that's something you're going to need to mention. That's more of stage 2, so let's stick to stage 1. Take the pictures, give me a rough idea of what you'd like, or say do whatever you want, whichever way is up to you, and then send those pictures and that email to that email address. The reason that I'm doing it this way is because that's how the waiting list is going to start, because it's going to be first come, first serve, and I'm only taking on so many a month. The reason I'm only taking on so many a month is because I want to make sure that I'm not making any one person wait a long time between sending it and getting their clock back. The amount of time it's going to take between you sending it and getting your clock back is probably between 2 and 4 weeks. I hope that I can definitely, because I'm not going to take on too many, get them all done within that 4-week time frame, and then I can send it back to you. It could take slightly longer, I don't plan to let that happen, because when I have a deadline, I have someone's thing that I'm working for someone else, it becomes my #1 priority. But at the same time, I still have a YouTube channel that's run, as you can appreciate, so I don't have as much time as someone who was just doing this. I will keep it within that month. How many I'm going to take on a month, I don't know yet. Maybe 5, maybe 6, I don't know, I'll see. So that's stage 1. Stage 2 is I receive the email and I'll reply to you and say, hey, so what would you like me to do with it? Or if you already explained that, I can be like, okay, that all seems straightforward. I might have a couple of things I need to just let you know to be clear about. Or any particular issues with that item, and then I can give you a price. Now the price is about the same price as you pay for the clocks that I make in the store, because they're the same amount of work. Where the item comes from, where it ends up afterwards, actually makes a little difference to the amount of work that it takes to make the thing. So, a disc like this, depending on how dirty it is when I get it and how clean you want it afterwards, discs are normally between £75 and £90. Sprockets are normally between 65 and 75 depending on what I've done to them. But that is variable on the condition of the item and how you want it made. Because you might want literally to take it off the bike, clean the oil off of it and turn it into a clock and have it looking exactly as it did when it came off your bike. Or you might want me to do like what I've done with Derek's one. This is from my bike. I've taken all the paint off of it at the moment because I'm going to be turning this into a clock, and I didn't like the chipped black paint that was on there. So it's now got a nice dark gunmetal colour. Now the chain and sprocket clocks, we can discuss them if you want me to make them, but understand they're going to start at about 120, and that's when you send me a relatively clean set of chain and sprockets, because the chain cleaning is a huge deal. It has to be done right, because if I don't do it right, it won't weld right and it won't be strong. Now if it were a clean chain, it's not going to be very difficult obviously, because I don't have to get that much grease off. If you send me a chain like Chase sent me, which was literally a rusted like circle that had been sat outside or sat somewhere and got wet and just rusted in that shape, that took me days of work to recover that back to a usable condition. So, you know, if you've got something like that and you're like, no, I really want this made into a clock, it's going to cost you time, because it's going to cost me time. So the clocks with both sprockets and the chain welded together is like 120 to 150, but dependent on what you want. So this is something we'll discuss. I'm not going below these prices. These, I should really charge more for my clocks, but I rather go for a high turnover, low profit version of things rather than a high profit, low turnover. Okay, so that's step 2, is the whole like discussion, what it's going to cost. All of that comes down to step 2. Step 3 is you send it to me, but I will be giving you a unique number just to put in with your item, because I'm going to be writing down in a book your name and that, and a unique number which I'll keep attached to this, so I never get confused about what belongs to who. And that's also part of the reason I don't want to take on loads at once, because I don't want to get confused about who owns what item. So when I receive your item, I'll probably send you a message and let you know, yep, I've got it, it's in hand, and then it'll be done when it's done when I let you know. Please don't bombard me with emails like asking how's it doing, where is it, etc, etc, because that makes things very difficult for me to keep on top of. And basically it's going to take, you know, a couple of weeks to 4 weeks, and I'll let you know. If it gets over 4 weeks, or I think it's going to run over time, I'm definitely going to be emailing you and saying, hey, just to let you know, it's running over time. But I'm sure I worry too much. I'm sure most of you just like, look, here it is, make it kind of like that and get it done in your own time, Spicy, it's fine. But I want to cover all bases because I want to do this professionally as I can. So then it's down to me to make it. Once I've made the clock, I'll take a couple of pictures of it for you and I'll send those to you and be like, hey look, your clock is finished, please pay me X amount. Now X amount is going to be the price we previously agreed, and then how much the postage is to return it to you. And I'll let you know what that is at the time. The fasteners I use to attach the plates onto the discs or sprockets to make them into clocks are normally A2 steel round-headed Allens. You'll see on all my pictures. They look great, they're nice and neat, they look cool, they don't look out of place. They're not like, you know, 6-sided hex nuts or anything like that. Unless there's something you'd want, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to use these nice little stainless steel ones. If you've got recessed things like these, I don't know if you can see this, see how they're like conically recessed, I'll probably have to use a flathead of some type or find some special screw for it. That might take a bit longer, but I'll know that at the point that you message me with those good pictures, because I'll be able to see all the detail. So say I said the clock was £75, postage is £5, I'll then need you to send me £80 via PayPal. It has to be done this way because I can't do it through my store. I could do a make to order thing on there, but the problem is that won't let me control how many people can order. It's far better if I do it in email and then do a payment through PayPal. You make the payment, I send the clock to you, and in a couple of days you have your clock on your wall, and that's it. So let's just rerun through that very quickly. So you take pictures, good pictures, do it in good light so I can actually see the item clearly from both sides and give me a rough idea of what you'd like to see the clock made into, and you send that email to spicycommissions@yahoo.com. Stage 2 is we discuss and we'll agree on the price. Stage 3 is you send it to me, Stage 4 is I make it, and Stage 5 is I send it back. It's as simple as that. It's not really complicated, but I wanted to get all that information in about what I can and can't do, so I don't want anyone to come to me and say, hey, I'd love you to do this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not offering that service. But it's better that we discuss that rather than say you send me something and then me say that. Oh, there's one other thing I meant to put in. The backing plate, as I mentioned, was aluminium brushed and lacquered. Now, I have done carbon fibre in the past. If you really want carbon fibre, I can do it, but there's a couple of things I'll say about that. One, it's really only good for small projects. If you do big projects like this, it's going to get super expensive. It's going to add at least, and I mean at least £10–15 onto the cost of making the clock, just by using carbon fibre. It looks nice, it does look good, but unless it's right in your face, opposed to up on a wall, you're not going to see the weave that well anyway, and then it's just going to look dark. So I actually think that the bright aluminium backs look better generally. Also, painted. I do painted sprockets and things. I can do those, but I have a very limited supply of colours, basically. And if I were, for instance, someone says I want one yellow, and I go and buy a can of yellow spray paint, that's about one-tenth the cost of the clock. Thus, it would not be very profitable for me to be doing that, because I don't make a huge profit on these. It's a lot of time. But as I say, that's something we can discuss. But obviously with also the painted effects, it's very hit and miss how it's going to turn out, because they're very randomised the way I do things. If you want one flat colour, that's not so difficult, but again, the cost is there. But we can discuss that. Well, there you go, that's how it's going to work. I hope I've explained that clearly enough, but just take the picture of your item, your disc or your sprocket, let me know what you want me to do with it, send me that email, and we can discuss from there. If we find a problem, I'll make sure that we've discussed everything so you know where we are with it before I go ahead and say, yep, send me that item. I think that is all of it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye. This channel is made possible by the support of the audience. Please check out the links in the description and all the different ways you can help support the channel. Any help is greatly appreciated.